And action.
Peace. Action.
So, episode 2. So, welcome to the Mindful Podcast. Obviously, you got Captain Baseful over there, and you got Subby G, Subgenre, and myself, The Frequency. This month's guest, we've got Slimify D. That's his street name, and we've also got the MC Dribbz, obviously flexing the sunglasses like a true
MC Dribbz.
That's it. Oh yeah, that's it. See, when you're award winning, you're allowed to leave the glasses on.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's the rules. So basically, the state of play is just generally, I mean, the whole aim in this is basically to share any sort of kind of experiences or any things that you kind of see in the media, or anything, you know, that reflects or kind of mirrors up in kind of particular ways. I mean, what's your stance on just generally what's going on with everything kind of mental health kind of based at the moment?
Do you want to go? Yeah, I'll go first. So I think mental health is obviously it's massive. It's massive in the scene. It's massive across any kind of form of life, really. It's good these days because men are encouraged to speak out, whereas back in the day, you know, it was quite a stigma that you had to be this kind of manly man and take on, you know, you had to be a protector of a lot of different things, but it's so very important to speak out, and I think that's what I'm kind of trying to push with my music as well. I'm trying to show that it's not a weakness, it's a form of strength.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, certainly, like these days, I feel blessed to be doing what I'm doing at this particular time because mental health is so big. And like I said, it covers all kind of stretches and walks of life, really.
Completely. I mean, I find quite a lot of the time, especially with mental health, kind of across the board. Yeah, it's nice that it's recognised now, but something that sometimes can get twisted a little bit is just the imbalance in people's bodies because of, like, say for example, recreational kind of things that they might get up to at the party scenes and whatnot. But I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I don't find that there's as much drug culture with regards to the music scene anymore, like there was, say for example, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It was a big part of the scene, wasn't it? Kind of like that sort of kind of standard of practice. But I don't really see that in the party scene anymore. But however, obviously people are a lot more open with it and will kind of talk things. Because I remember the first time I met you was literally like probably like 12, 14 years ago
long
maybe.
Time.
When I first started getting booked up Shrewsbury way. I mean, like, what was that residency that you used to have then?
Mass Effect.
And there was another one as well that you had. The one that I think you MC'd for Friction and stuff at it.
So that was Subsounds.
Subsounds, that's the one. Yeah, that was the one.
That was where a guy called Bryn, who was a very good guy, he collabed with Fantasy, DJ Fantasy.
Oh yeah, Steve, because he was up
and
there
he made
as well,
Spectrum, so it was like Subsounds and Spectrum.
Yeah.
So Fantasy was kind of getting the big headliners back then. I mean, back then we had like Chasing Status when they were like just coming up, you know.
When they were doing stuff with SP and that
absolutely,
was well.
yeah. So yeah, Bryn definitely had a good
thing. I used to see your parties and be like, man, why are they booking me?
The lineups are crazy.
And he was always DJ Escape. He was the only one from Birmingham that used to get like the call or the nod. It was just like, oh yeah, everyone knows Escape. Let's get him on the bill. Like,
looking back at the flyers now, you just think like that would cost so much to put them on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of old flyers from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I've got sat in boxes at my mum's under the bed and stuff. And when you look at the lineups at Salem, it's like, how did we?
Oh, the good old days, the good old days.
I think nowadays it's like, I see a lot of raves, they can put 3 or 4 headliners on, and I just think the same amount of people would probably come out and turn up for one of them headliners. Do you know what I mean? But it's almost like wasted money to a certain extent, do you know what I mean? Because they're putting 4 headliners across different rooms when, 1 or 2 headliners would probably bring just the same amount of people.
So around the Shire then, because I know I've always loved it up around Shrewsbury and kind of those sort of areas. I've got a little bit of a dislike of a particular area, but that's obviously because of what I went through with my nephew, but we'll go there later. But with regards to what you see kind of around, because you live in Shrewsbury and that as well, or you?
So I'm from Telford, which is about 20 minutes out.
See, that's the area. I couldn't say it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so from, I mean, I've got a real close friend who kind of works like within that kind of line of work in Telford.
Okay.
Like, funnily enough, but and that's kind of like house support for people with like either mental health problems or certain disabilities and whatnot, where they kind of like semi-residential care and whatnot. And I do know there's a lot available around Salford. I mean, but with regards to like Shrewsbury and stuff, is there many, from what you've seen, like whether it be on the media or in local papers, is there much in place kind of that people can turn to help with any sort of kind of struggles that they've got or anything that you've seen?
Yeah, so not necessarily so much. I'm not as familiar with the housing side of stuff, but in terms of mental health support, there is obviously like stuff like Mind is available everywhere.
Yeah, it's nationwide.
There are some drop-in centres as well. I cannot think of the name of it off the top of my head.
But you've seen stuff around.
Yeah, I mean, Shrewsbury's in that awkward position. Like, it is my hometown. Like, I love Shrewsbury, but it is somewhat more of a older mindset, I would say. Like, it's still very much caught in the idea of it being an affluent market town.
Yeah,
like,
so you're seeing the changes gradually over time.
Yeah, and I think finally, now that, to kind of link back to what we said at the beginning of this, where like, what do we see with mental health now? Shrewsbury in itself is a fairly good example of like, the population there is fairly old. Not obviously exclusively, there is a subsection of all sorts of people, but typically it is a more older population. As a result, the conversations around mental health aren't perhaps as forthcoming as they should be. Whereas, to link back to what we were saying at the beginning, one of the nice things about mental health now, I remember being a kid and being like the only kid that I knew that was medicated for depression. Like, nobody else seemed to talk about it. Whereas now, like, you can pretty confidently state that most people have either, be it long-term or short-term, had some experience with it and actually an understanding of, oh, this is something wrong with my mental health, rather than just, oh, I feel a bit bad. Like, I think the understanding that we have is way, way better than it used to be.
So I think we get that like across the board, just as adults now, and then obviously life experiences and whatnot. But something that frustrates me a lot with, and I'm not being ageist or anything here, but it's just kind of like, for the younger generations, they're quick to jump that gun and say you've got a mental health problem.
It's the first go-to. It's a thing for me. There was an obviously I am bipolar, diagnosed bipolar, and it from the age of 15, 16, something like that. But there seemed to be. I noticed probably about 8 years ago now, maybe. I'm probably making up the number, but there was a while back. There was a phase where like it started becoming more the norm. It was noticeable that there was mental health was more talked about, more noticed, more sort of.
For like a variation of what it was.
I sort of noticed it creeping up, kind of thing, and then all of a sudden there was a phase where everyone under the sun was just bipolar, and it became a thing for me because it was like people just going around going, oh yeah, I'm bipolar, and to be honest, they were using it in description for things that didn't even match. Like, they didn't even have a clue what bipolar is or was, or do you know what I mean? And they're looking, so they were like, from just having mood changes, do you know what I mean? And people be like, oh, I'm so bipolar, I'm bipolar.
But it's potentially though.
So I bet that was frustrating for you, as being someone that lived with it.
Because it doesn't just affect you, it's everyone around you as well. It's people, like the pips that have past relationships with family, to anyone that's around me, even as friends, and you probably, I can imagine it's a struggle to get on with me on a daily basis when you know me, to be honest.
I've always managed it, and we said that in the last one last month. Like we've never had a crossword or anything. He's had his ups and downs, and you just know how to ride with it, kind of sort of thing.
It's when, for me, and it doesn't bother me in the sense of it's not like it bothered me because I am bipolar, so I kind of like felt into, oh, that's my description, don't you? Not in that sense. It was more a case of like to notice that all of a sudden people are using like serious, cause it's a serious condition, it's not like a silly thing. I've been in and out of mental health. I've been sectioned. I've been in hospitals, you know what I mean, for months on end at times, for years kind of things, you know what I mean. I've been really unwell at times. And it's more a case of like to imagine how it come to a stage where everyone under the sun, left, right, and centre, especially on social media and stuff, just claiming to be bipolar. It's more to see it as like a throwaway. Like it's a serious condition, and people are just throwing it out there like, I'm bipolar. It's like excuses, or do you know what I mean? It's the first go-to things to say, oh yeah, I was, and it was just like.
But a lot of the time,
like you're saying, it's the first thing in their head was to go, oh, I've got mental health condition.
But I think
without even understanding it.
I think a big reason for that though is like an incline, like in medical science, where there's been studies done where they've noticed it more and it's been added to it. So if anything, as soon as like your kind of GP practices or whatever are picking up on certain signs, that's why they'll be like, oh. Straight away.
For me, to be honest though, it's more a case of the majority of them probably haven't even been to the doctor or anything about it, you know what I mean? They've had no diagnosis. They've gone on Google, mate. Do you know what I mean? And it's a generation, not so much a generation, because I'm not really into like the labelling or certain ages or whatever, but it's like a band of people that have just gone on Google and just gone, blah 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 blah.
I think people need to like understand the difference between depression and a come down.
Do you know
what I mean?
It's not
aside from drugs. Do you know what I mean?
It's not restricted to just that. But on a level, like, do you think of like, I don't claim to be a scientist, a medical expert, any of that. I forgot we were allowed that. I'd seriously think that, but. For me, like, and I've got no idea of when I say this sentence now. This is my disclaimer. I've got no idea of the levels of chemicals and this and that and blah 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 in the brain and the body. But I'm guessing there's a fair amount of chemicals balanced and this and that and in your mind, in your body, in your brain, and this and things only function like you always say. Like with the fuel, you put the right things in, blah blah blah. You've got to treat your body like a proper motor and fuel it properly to have the correct balance of everything to go in balance with all the chemicals in there to live correctly and have a right mindset. But I mean, just on a daily, as a normal human being, you're gonna have shit days. You're gonna have times through the day that 1 minute you're feeling great and the next you're like, oh, I'm a bit fed up, I'm not sure why. And it could be your diet, you're not, you know, it could be absolutely
anything. Triggers along the way though, little things where you stop and it could be something from your past where you haven't done something correctly.
This is what I mean. When it comes to a point where there's a huge number of people that just sort of, and I'm not labelling anymore or pointing finger or anything, and if it is, obviously it's good that people are aware of the conditions and this and that, but I mean, it's like, I'm sure there's a large number of people that probably just sort of like see an obstacle in the way in the normal day. There's nothing wrong with them. They've got no mental health condition. There's nothing, and
so when you've done that with me,
do you know what I mean? It's just life. Like you've got to. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Like there's a point where you've got to just accept that life is life, and it's a bit shit, and you've got to deal with some stuff. But like, do you know what I mean? To just instantly go, oh, I've had such a wobbly week I have this week, I think I've got a mental health condition, or along that road, do you know what I mean? Not to that effect, but...
Well, that's it, you did that with me, I think several months back and stuff, when I was having a bit of a tough time, when I was like kind of breaking down and that, and then even you were like, bro, he was like, you know, you need to just do this and stuff, or whatever, and then
uni and that,
as soon as I started training and stuff again and that was it was just like, as soon as I start breaking that sweat and you start creating those kind of like endorphins naturally, like it's mad what the human body can do. Like it's just like, but like I'm hypersensitive, so it's kind of like sometimes I'll completely like jump head first into something rather than worrying about everything else that's going on that I need to. So it's all down to the individual. I find like kind of keeping yourself busy and doing loads.
We talk about that, don't we?
Yeah, it helps.
It helps massively.
Because this year, I was even joking with my son earlier, like we were in the van and I even said about like, bloody hell, this time a few months back, and I was like, I had a breakdown when I was doing all that and stuff, and I was like, yeah, but I'm sorting out, kid, like, and it's just like, but it's like I always acknowledge it, but like as soon as I'm at a down point, I'm always, the first thing I'm saying to people when I'm sharing it is literally like, I need to train, man. I need to train. I need to go out for a run. I need to just break a sweat.
It's different for everyone, isn't it? That's what I mean. It's like it's just whatever feeds you personally, I suppose. It feeds your soul. Do you know what I mean? If it's not for me, it's the music.
Yeah, it's with you. You like being like productive.
Yeah, you have got to find that baseline, haven't you? I mean, again, like you said, with me, it's the music all the way, and like it's mad. Like you're on about not classing people and stereotyping people. Like I've had promoters that I've gone to their raves and they've offered a bag of this and a bag of that, and I'm like, don't take drugs. Look, hang on a minute, you do drum and bass, you're an artist. You set it too. What you want? I'm not on nothing, like, you know. I'm teetotal, like, you know, because of like health conditions. I don't experiment or take anything. You know, I've got epilepsy, I've got rheumatoid arthritis, and you know, I take medication daily for them things. So why would I want to take anything else to, you know, to mix it up and that? So. But yeah, people do think, well, you're an MC, you do raves.
Yeah, they do,
At unsociable hours, you must take something, you know, and that's just the typical.
Even the promoters get. I've had it as a promoter. I've been stereotyped as a promoter. I'm like, why do people put people in a box? Just because you don't fit someone's narrative, you're not automatically this or that.
Well, that's down the road of. It's like you say, with it's boxing people and things. It's like with mental health as well. That's another thing. It's like you've got so many. I think diagnosis as well. Sometimes it's not quite like you can't. How can you just say, oh, because do you know what I mean? You've got certain this or that. It's not everything's black and white. In like you are this or you have this condition and that condition. It's like it's the makeup. Everyone's individual, and that's so there's not always like something to stick a label on and stuff.
I've had that for years though, because as soon as you say you drum and bass, people instantly like, oh, you do this,
you do.
And the mad thing is that like our scene, considering it gets such a rough ride, especially when you're trying to do like events or gigs or whatever in kind of towns and stuff, and because of the stigma that's with drum and bass and all the rest of it, and there's trouble and whatever. But because the scene, it's not a very alcohol-led scene. Like I'll drink alcohol all night, but it's generally to just hydrate. It's just something for your hand to do, whatever. It's not like, I'm going to get shots or whatever. So I'll drink throughout the night, but I never see that sort of kind of aggressive switch. Whereas, say, if you go to like a commercial night where everyone's dressed up in shoes and shirts so they can get in. And it's like, and that's there's a lot more ego in those sorts of environments and stuff, and then people coming out the toilet, all that business and stuff. And the mad thing is, it's our kind of scene that's like rubbed off with that stigma. When it, in fact, it's nothing. Opposite. Yeah, it's nothing like.
You mean the sort of clubs where you go to and they're playing
Rihanna?
Yeah, like Rihanna, but it's just full of estate agents sat around circular tables with bottles of champagne and like AU vodka and stuff.
See, that's what I was doing when I was 15.
Taking photos for Instagram.
And you'll find like with the raves, say if the raves go on till 4 in the morning, you can pick out the lager louds because they're done by midnight. Maybe they're either getting thrown out by the bouncers or they've just had a skinful and they've gone
folded up in the corner.
Exactly,
Or they're having a scrap around the corner.
With a pile of coats on top of them.
Oh, bless them.
It's a crazy scene.
So, I mean, what's the crack with you guys now? Like how's it been since like the removal of COVID? I mean, like, have you noticed a change in people? I mean, I know we're seeing the media and stuff. It's a lot more open about mental health, and everyone's talking about it a lot more. There's a lot more things in place than there was, say, for example, 10 years ago. But since obviously the switch with the COVID stuff, obviously that hit a lot of people. Me, it was the opposite. It was a really good thing. However, there's a big portion of the population of the country.
A lot of people struggle through it.
It was really bad.
I think it did mess with me mentally, like. Because of my rheumatoid arthritis, I take a medication called methotrexate, and that suppresses my immune system. So I'm quite like, I'm liable to most things. I can catch things a lot easily. And going on, obviously, the media was firing it all over the screens when they were showing people in breathing apparatus, and I'm thinking, that's me. I'm thinking, if I catch this, 100%, this is me.
Were you through a window talking to people? Or?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I did it all by the book to start with, and like, I thought, that's going to be me on the, like they are on the TV with the breathing apparatus, and everywhere you looked, that's where it was. And I remember a friend of mine from London, a guy called Sean, he kind of sat with me and he was on the phone, and he was just like, turn this negative into a positive, like stop bringing all this negativity and try and turn it into a positive, So I sat down and I thought, well, what can I do? So I took it online with the music, So I was doing like regular shows through TikTok, through anything I could find really. And as well as that, I was doing some mental health kind of drop-ins where people were like joining. I was going live for an hour and then people explaining my situations, and people were joining and then collabing on the videos and stuff, and we were having like drop-in services. And I'm by no means a professional. I'm not a counsellor. I'm not a professional, but
sharing your experiences.
You don't need to be doing it, just by talking.
And I will never say to someone, I know how you feel about that, because I'm not in their shoes. I don't know how they feel about that. Do you know what I mean? I'll try to understand how they feel, but I'll never say I know how you feel, because everyone's different, aren't they? But I think I turned it into a positive
We did exactly the same. I did exactly. That's what I did in the summer.
I had to build a little fan base, well, a support base through social media, you know, and I think that's how a lot of artists took it. Even some of the big headliners, you know, they were all just doing that. You've never seen so many streams.
That's where it really picked up.
Yeah, that was wicked. It's
great, mate.
Yeah,
it's
great. Wicked streams.
Really
that
good.
was
I
where
mean,
it all
you know,
started,
Skibber, RIP. You know, the stuff that he was doing through lockdown, it was just amazing. You know,
he was
going
good
on
for
the
new
breakfast
artists and stuff, wasn't it?
It's great, absolutely brilliant. What do you think, anyway, Slims?
COVID for me was a bit of a weird one, really. For those that aren't aware, I did MCing for a very long time. Then I stopped doing MCing for a very long time, and
was that because of the clubs being closed, or just because of long
no,
venues, other things?
So ironically, it was mostly mental health based. I've managed to get myself to a position where I started putting pressure on myself in ways that I didn't expect I would. Like I've always done some form of performing, and I got to a point where I'd be getting towards the night of a show and starting to feel sick, starting to feel really, really nervous about everything, and you know, I mean, you can back this because
again, just anxiety, type.
Yeah, just crazy bad, and I didn't want to, you know, now if you bump into a club, I mean, admittedly, I'm still quiet. Like I'm quite a quiet person until someone starts me talking. Then I'll start talking and I can't stop. But I was getting to the point where like I wouldn't even want to like do meet and greets with people after shows. Like I just like they'd be coming up saying like a good set, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And just
quick firms and you're off.
Yeah, and like that really wasn't me. But COVID actually kind of did me a favour, weirdly, in as much as that I realised my life didn't change. The whole world got locked down, and my life was the same as it was the day before and the day after. The only difference is I could finally work from home without anyone telling me I shouldn't. And I was like, that doesn't seem like that's okay. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be the way it is. Like, I'd be sat there playing video games online, and then I go to bed, and that would be it. And so
probably a bit of a reset time that you might have needed then as well.
Yeah, and I got myself into a better position and realised there was a few things that I needed to change in my life, and luckily got to change those. And then the last bit that I was like, I'll know that I'm not better, because for me, like, I see mental health a bit like sitting on a beach.
Yeah.
Like, if anxiety and depression is the sea, like, sometimes the tide is way out there and like it's nowhere near you. Other times it's like lapping at your ankles. Other times you're in the sea and you can't even see the top.
It's a good way of putting it.
What a distinctive way of doing it. Yeah, I like that.
We met Sylvia.
And for me, the last thing that would make me realise that I was feeling okay was the bit where, and I'm going to break the fourth wall a little bit here now and pull the curtain back, when Martin was able to do Slimify D again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, for me, there's no place that I feel truly comfortable unless I'm on a stage.
Yeah.
Like, there is always something dinging away at the back of my mind. Like, if I'm in the office, I don't feel good enough. If I'm talking to people, I don't feel good enough. Like, there's always something that is just there. And then... and sorry, I'm coughing. And when you get to that bit where Martin gets handed a microphone, and you've seen me do this 100 times, look at the floor, nervous, and the second the mic goes to my mouth, suddenly my eyes will open and I'm like, right, okay, I'm alive now, I can do this. Yeah.
My alter
Is
ego
MC
comes from
almost like a therapy for you?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, through my experiences in life, there is a million opportunities a day to pass out negativity if you want to. And unfortunately, I've been on a fair share of, negativity. But for that hour, I know that I get to do something positive. Like, I get to make people smile.
It's escape, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Escape from reality.
I've always said this, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, mate, but I've always said this, like, with the raves and stuff, no matter what stresses and dramas are going on in the day, I've always got that little dinkling, like, it's rave day. It's rave day.
We said that last
you know what I mean?
week,
And, like, I'm mad, and I get out of the car, and I'm mad, and I get into the club, and I'm mad, but as soon as I get on stage, it's almost like a mask that you put on, and I can have the most crappiest of days and be really flipping down, but when I get on that stage, something something just changes, you know. And I put that mask of Dribbz on, and I've got energy, and people would think like I've had the best day going, and it's all down to the music and feeding off the music, really.
You've just reminded me of a little memory as well. I'm sure it was with you. Did you host for Mampy Swift at Shrewsbury Fields Festival?
I did.
Right, I was there. I was at that because I was playing in one of the. I was just literally, as soon as you were saying that, I was thinking, I'm sure it was because it was you and Munchie.
Me and
wasn't
Munchie,
it? Yeah. So like, because obviously you rinse off having your pass and stuff. Because obviously you're DJing there, you're not in that arena, but you're gonna go and chill with the boys in that arena and that. Yeah. So obviously we'll be backstage having a laugh with Mampy Swift and stuff. And then obviously these are on stage doing their thing because it was Hazard and Mampy Swift, wasn't it?
That's right.
And then I remember coming up on the stage while you two were MCing, but then the crowd were reacting to me like I was an MC. So I ain't an MC, but I played with it, man, and I was hyping up the crowd at the front of the stage and stuff. Like, I was, I'd had a bit too much to drink. I was enjoying myself, man. But yeah, it was a funny memory. But you smashed it, that set. That was the Mampy Swift set.
I've heard you and Munchie, and that was, I was in it. You're on the
I feel blessed with Munchie because, like, I mean, I've known that boy since we were like 6 years old. You know, we used to ride bikes together, play with mitre footballs with a Nintendo in the backpack, and you know what I mean.
Which Nintendo though?
Oh,
original one or 64?
Well, I was a Sega boy. He was Nintendo.
Sega.
Yeah, he had the Game Boy, you know, and all the rest of it. But I was always the Sega, the Master System, and all that kind of stuff. That's the kid. Boom.
I've still got them now, man. We'll have to do a games one. Yeah, I've got them all. Super Nintendo.
It's all about Desert Strike, mate. It's all about Desert Strike.
We'll have to set up an old school game challenge.
We've got all the consoles for it, man.
A little mindful spin-off, man.
Yeah, that's it. You could jump on the design work.
Yeah.
And the new idea gets born.
It's constant, in it.
But yeah, I'll feel.
Sorry, can we say a quick hello to James?
Hello.
James. Yeah.
Oh, hey Jim, how's it going, dude?
What's up, Pixel?
How you doing, Pixel? But yeah, I feel blessed with Munchie because, like I said, we knocked around as kids. We've been through lots of life things together, separately with our lives, but we've handled them together, and now we share stages together. You know, and it's people say to me like. It's amazing the chemistry you guys have got. You don't even have to look at each other, and you know.
It's different when you've known someone since.
Yes, it's all about time spent. I had a good friend that passed away, Taxi Man, rest in peace, and he always said like time spent is you can't buy that stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's priceless.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a lot of people that are still. It's like when you've known the people longer than you've known the music, but you've known the music forever.
Yes.
You know that one, ain't it?
Yes.
It's a bit like.
Yeah. But me and Munchie came through the pirate radios and all that nitty gritty kind of tower block stuff and studios and that, and now we share. Yeah, man. Now we share stages together. It's crazy, and I think it shows in our performance now. You know, we've got it to an extent now where it's tight. I don't know if you agree, Slims, but it's tight, and I feel blessed to kind of share these stages with him. You know.
So what's the state of play with you guys now? Do you still get put on many gigs together and stuff? Because I remember like when I was on the circuit up round there, and that was probably like between like 2010, 2013, something like that. And that's when I first started linking up with you guys at like the Vaults and all that sort of stuff. And was it Vaults or Volks?
It was Vaults.
Vaults, yeah. Opposite the Butter Market and that, wasn't it? And but what's it like now? Is it like it was then? Like local promoters putting his on, like, because I know there's the lad who used to do Perception and does Technic now as well.
Yes,
that's doing quite well. And you've got Paul North. He does.
That's right.
Subvert. Like, that's. I mean, Paul. He's doing a phenomenal job. Not only for Subvert, but what he's doing in business. Like. Yeah, he's a good lad, Paul is. I need to talk to Paul, but I mean, like, with regards to you guys now on like with the circuit and stuff, and do you think there's anything that you could try and implement or want to make changes to like make improvements for any sort of kind of like things that might be available in your areas or ways of promoting it, like good well-being, good mental, kind of sharing stuff, like. You have any plans, any visions that you've got? This is where you could change the world, man.
One step at a time.
Who's going first?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
So I had a bit of again, like my history with D&B is a little bit fractured because I took 10 years off, and what I came back to is kind of what I left. So like you said, you were around like 2010 to 2013ish. for me, my time in D&B started in 2008.
Yeah.
And again, that was like the birth of Mass Effect. And at the time, you had Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, I DJ'd there as well.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I played there.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, the
You
Valentine's one, yeah, I just
yeah.
remembered that.
Mass Affection.
Yeah.
Mass
Yeah,
Affection.
yeah.
I spent ages on that
I've still got the fly for that, you know. I've still got the fly.
But like back then, Shrewsbury was insanely active. There were all these different nights that were all doing things, and again, all different enough that they could coexist.
Everyone worked together, didn't they? It was a lovely community. It was a lovely.
That was when D&B culture started, wasn't it? 2008.
Yeah, around that time.
Goldie. One.
And from what I understand, there was a lull somewhere in the middle. I don't know. That I'm going to pass that bit over to you to fill in a little bit. But what I've come back to is Shrewsbury is still a D&B town as far as I can tell. Like we've got, like you said, you've got Paul North, you've got D&B Religion who are putting on great nights as well.
I forgot Religion. Yeah.
You've got a bunch of guys and girls that are doing grassroots stuff. You've got like the offshoots of Shrewsbury. Like I'm sure the entirety of the town of Oswestry are going to get annoyed with me saying it's an offshoot of Shrewsbury, but culturally, like D&B wise, you guys are. I'm sorry, we love you. In fact, actually, Jim, who commented before, Pixel's running the stuff of Revolution out in the Fox and Oswestry, and things are just healthy. And again, one of the nicest things about this scene is that, like you say, we all work together, and like, we've come back, and it still feels like that. Like, because I could have come back and been like, "Hi guys, I'm back to MC," and they'd be like, "What's this old dude doing?" Like, go sit down, Grandpa.
I've heard somebody needs me to host a show.
Yeah, exactly. And like well, in fact, me and you spoke in Paris, and like
in Paris.
Yeah, we caught up in Paris.
Yeah.
I was out there with my wife and kids on a holiday.
Don't say we just bumped into it.
no, seriously,
No,
straight
it was
up.
just like that. I swear.
Straight
to
up.
you. Yeah.
What are the
So
chances?
Same hotel, same time in
literally,
Paris.
he was one floor above me.
So
Right.
This is what they've been telling the families for the whole time. they pre-planned this just for a link up for a.
we rock up to Paris in matching outfits.
That was a microphone, by the way. That was.
I knew that, but I was like, I wonder who's going to address it.
Where's that microphone come?
They pre-planned it for a link up for a music thing. Is what I was suggesting. There was no.
We chilled in this hotel till about 2 a.m, just chatting and dying, and we were kind of talking about the scene and getting Slims back into it, because I've never left it, you know. I've always, I mean, I'm 18 years deep now, you know, and like, I've never kind of had a break from it or anything. And I was saying to Slims, when you come back in, you know, you will see a difference, and it ain't a negative difference. There's just a younger generation of ravers now, a far younger generation of ravers.
The ketamine generation.
Well, I didn't say that. That was your words, bro. But yeah,
The ketamine mosh pit generation.
the crazy generation. Yeah.
But I kind of expected it to be a case of like no one was really fast. Like I expected it basically to be you. Let's get you back, and that was going to be it. And Pixel as well. Like I expected like 2 people to go like, it's nice that you've come back for a show, but you can go away again now. And that has not been the case. Like,
Welcome you back with open arms.
yeah, I took like a surprise show. It was a surprise to me. I didn't know I was going to do it until 5 minutes before I was on stage on like the 26th of July, and I've been pretty much busy every weekend since. So yeah, like it's cool. Like the scene is still very much alive in Shrewsbury. I've always kind of said it was D&B's greatest hidden gem.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
People don't realise how much talent is in that town.
And it's mad because, like, with me being from Telford, which is only 20 minutes down the road, the stigma between Shrewsbury and Telford, and this is from back in the day, but there's a big stigma, you know.
Don't worry, they sent me over as a diplomat now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I had to move there.
And it was honestly, right, I can't explain to you how hard it was for me and Munchie to be able to be accepted into the Shrewsbury scene.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, you know, we got booked there, and as soon as we opened our mouths, they knew we were Telford because we didn't have the typical Shrewsbury accent. And we had like blokes stood at the front telling us that, you know, you wait till you get off stage, we're going to be outside the doors ready to throttle you, and we'd have to have security take us out the back door. It took a long time for us to be accepted. I mean, now me and Munchie are in Shrewsbury, like, we're very much accepted there now, you know, a lot of people know us.
Yeah, you've earned your stripes though.
Well, this is it, but they don't realise what we've been through to get to where we are now, do you know what I mean?
Done the bird, like.
Absolutely.
I'd like to apologise on behalf of my town.
Oh!
So good.
So we're not all like that.
No,
What I have taken from that though is that if Shrewsbury's a pot noodle, it'd be one of the ones that has 2 sachets of sauce in.
Like it.
Yeah, my little thing with Telford is, I mean, like I think I told you about it. My nephew a couple of years ago got killed up there, and he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it was a group of teenagers, literally teenagers, on the way to a gang fight, like postcode thing, yeah. So I think like around the Brookside estate and stuff or whatever, and yeah, so it's kind of like yeah, with my nephew, like yeah, just a group of kids on the way, yeah, to a local gang fight and stuff, and that was where I first got my attention to kind of Telford and the stuff that was going on around there with the young kids and stuff. Absolutely, and the extremes that they were taking things. Because like my nephew, he was almost 27 years old, like he weren't a nipper. So but I mean he was like on the spectrum with his autism, but he kind of managed to kind of find a nice balance, so he kind of lived a semi-normal life, but he still had his little kind of switch-offs where he'd kind of react a bit differently to the rest of us or whatever. But that was my first, and following that, that's when I started hearing about stuff in Telford all the time. But it's something that's picking up in towns everywhere now, where it's going to the extremes of like kind of like knife crime, and people aren't just having fights anymore. Because like I've had like you know, like H2 Flow. I remember the once he got jumped. Oh no, it weren't. It was Banchco. Yeah, when he got jumped and stuff, and the extent that they took it to, like he must have been unconscious, and they carried on obviously hitting him and stuff whilst he was down, and the damage to his face that had done, it was just the extremes of it. But I think that was like an older. But I mean, obviously they didn't take it to the extent of using tools, but that still could have killed him.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, my town is known for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But,
is that like do you reckon that's an alcohol or do you reckon a drug
it's
thing?
the main thing with Telford is the exploitation of girls.
Yeah.
You know, that was the big thing with Telford, and they ran programmes on it, and there was a big inquiry on it, and yeah, it kind of gave Telford as a collective a really bad name, and that's why. I mean, one person ain't going to make a difference, but if I can make just a slight bit of difference for positivity, you know, that's what I'll do, and that's kind of where...
Break the mould, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's kind of where the hip-hop was born for me as well. Like from, you mentioned about lockdown and what things we did at lockdown, I put my hand to hip-hop. I'd never done hip-hop.
But you can tell that in your lyrics and stuff, though, because they're quite uplifting. And
yeah, but it was hard for me with the hip-hop, because after track 3, I still sounded like a drum and bass MC that was doing hip-hop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I needed to find my voice in hip hop, and I feel that I've found that now. I've just released my second album, and like I just put pen to paper and wrote. BBC Music introducing got behind me with
remixes incoming, bro. Remixes incoming.
I'm down for it, man. Which was cool, you know. Introducing got behind me, and they played a lot of the tracks, which was kind of a confirmation that I was on the right path with something, you know. I know it ain't all that to have Introducing play it, but it was just a nod to you know, a bit of a
recognition.
Absolutely, that's the one. Recognition, yeah.
So we could get in that email when you see it. Oh, BBC.
I'm gonna call you out on something actually.
What's that?
Stop doing that.
What's that?
Stop diminishing stuff.
I'm my worst enemy with that.
You got to think about it. A play's a play, and if it's one play that they've played on BBC Introducing it, then has been played out to so many other people. That one play's had so much more reach than one play that I would have pressed play on. You get what I mean?
Do you know why I naturally do this, bro? I naturally do this because there's been times in my life where I've achieved small things, just little things, where people that I thought were generally down with me, and they've kind of been with me through my rises and my falls, have put their fingers up and said, you know, you're self-loathing, you're this, you're that, and like, it shocked me, bro. It shocked me, and it's made me question everyone that's ever around.
There's nothing wrong with being proud of something you've accomplished, even if you don't really class it as an accomplishment, like genuinely, like to look at something from the outside. Do you get what I mean? And say, well, that's. If you've done something I haven't done, that's an accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah, but
do you get what I mean? It doesn't matter whether it's big or one day you might accomplish getting out of bed and I might not. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like everything,
but naturally, I think like I've got to explain myself. Like, you know,
disclaimers.
I've recently won this.
Yeah, it's disclaimers. I used to do it. I used to be really bad.
I've recently won this award, like this Best Hip Hop and Rap 2023 at the Multi-Genre Music Awards in Birmingham. Big up Nicky and the Indulgence, and so like with that, it's like, I got it, and that's fantastic, but it doesn't mean I'm better than anyone else. And this is what I'm trying to say to people. There is so much talent in the Shropshire, like, that needs bringing out, you know what I mean? It does. You appreciate the Shire. The Shire!
I've met a few wicked
There is so much talent in Telford, in Shrewsbury, obviously Birmingham, but like, there's places everywhere where there's pockets of people. And that's what I've done with my hip hop. If like my new album that I've got now, there's a lot of collabs on there with female vocalists, with like, male vocalists and stuff. And these people that I've collabed with, they ain't people that have already got their feet cemented in the scene. These are people that record in their bedroom because they haven't got the confidence to play out. These are people that have never had BBC Music radio play and have never dreamed of it. And this is what I do.
Never
like,
had any opportunity.
I'll find a clip of a girl singing in a room and think, that's really good. Do you know what I mean? So I'll get them in the studio and we'll collab. Nice. And then I remember ringing up the one girl and going, you've had your first BBC Music airplay. And it was almost like I had to peel her off the ceiling, She was absolutely stoked. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah, it's good to pass that feeling on to somebody else.
Because I've always said, if there's this, so many people doing it, and I've been doing it 18 years now, and I'm still classed as a up and comer.
But
if there's any small chance of me making it in this scene, and I don't know what anyone would class as making it, but if there's any chance of me doing it, then I'm bringing a whole load of people with me. Do you know what I mean?
It's the rules, isn't it?
It's got to be done. And I'm happy for people that I know that get success. But I haven't had that back, let's just say that. So that is why I have to justify myself to...
But that's the thing, like, that's kind of one of the reasons that, like... Because I imagine that everybody in this room, like... I know at the moment you're doing that thing where you go, like, but I'm not a performer. But, like, you do incredible stuff, like, every day.
Yeah, without the promoter, none of the performers performed, you get what I mean?
Well, that's it, like, we can all stand on a street corner and, like,
have a little busking session and
exactly. But, without clubs and places to play, like, we don't have anything to do. But, like, I think we're so quick. I mean, I know I certainly am, and I'm going to hazard a guess that everybody else on these sofas is the same. That, like, I can state something as a matter of fact. Like, and I've said it before and like a million times over, like, I don't get necessarily why people gravitate towards Slimify D and why I get the bookings I get. I'm always very appreciative. But I can state stuff as facts. Like, I can list off, like, like, yes, I've been very lucky. I've taken more bookings than I ever imagined I would in the last 6 months. Like, I've played internationally, and like, these are facts. These are things that I can't deny. But I also won't let myself feel them as accomplishments. Like, they're just.
No, as long as you acknowledge them, though, that's what it's about. You don't have to. You don't have to. This is what I mean. You don't have to be sort of like feeling. If you feel like, well, this is only my point of view, like, but if you feel like you acknowledging it to any more of a degree would be you feeling overly proud of it inside in any way, then that's up to you. Do you know what I mean? But as long as you're acknowledging that, like you say, they are facts. You've done that. Have I done that? I haven't been and played over here and here and here. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things that, like, as long as you're recognising it and acknowledging it and logging it in that little ticked list of, do you know what I mean? In the, like, the flip book in the back of your mind or whatever kind of thing. As long as you recognise it, and every time, do you know what I mean? It's every time it comes up in your head, you go, oh yeah, I've done that. That's all it need be. This is you recognise your own level of, do you know what I mean? How you want to express it, or what you want to class it as. That's what I mean. Because it's only you that can set your own goals and stuff, isn't it? So if you now go, as long as you go, well, I have done that, and I have done that, and I've done that this year actually, in fact, or do you know what I mean? In the last, then you can go. So as long as you're setting your next goal every time,
definitely
in your head, whether you're writing it down or not or whatever, it doesn't matter. But as long as you go, oh right, I've played internationally here and here, but I ain't been there. I want to be there, and then you know that that's your goal then. One of your next goals, and you don't have to set big loads of goals here there. You should just set one thing, even if it's like, a goal for the day. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like motivational speech idiot, but like anything's a goal. Do you know what I mean?
Was there a particular reason that you wasn't feeling that?
I don't know, because it's one of those things that like, I started speaking to a counsellor, and like, they said like, what have you done? Like, where do you want to get back to? And like I said before, I said that the end goal for me was not necessarily to come back as performing, but like, you know how you said, like, for you, like, when you get on stage, you have that moment where the mask goes on, like, almost like body armour.
Absolutely.
I go the other way. So, like, for me, I think of it as the one time I get to take my mask off.
Yeah.
Like, I am not in like a you need to run for your life sort of way, but like I'm quite a weird dude. Like I'm like dumb jokes. I like saying off the cuff stuff. Like
I wouldn't say a weird dude. I'd say you're an individual.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, you'd say you're a weird individual.
Yeah. You're uniquely weird. And like that for me is the one time like that I get to have that and not fear it. Like if I said half the stuff that I say on stage in the office, I'd find myself very quickly in the unemployment line. Yeah. And like not because I say anything horrifically offensive, it's just you'd be like, well, where does that fit in the day-to-day world?
This is I was going to mention this. So when you're writing, then as a vocalist, when you're writing lyrics and stuff and coming up with all your materials, it's just, do you get a different side of yourself out through that?
Yeah, 100%. Like I never used to use like a like typical sit down write lyrics. Like I always used to do them off the cuff, and then if I did something that I thought was cool, I'd then take it back and refine it. This year for the first time, because I realised that like I remembered like 8 or 9 of my bars and not much else, had to go like, oh crap, I need to write stuff before I get on stage because I don't know if I can still fire at the speed that I wanted to do it. So I've sat down a couple of times, and like it's been really interesting for me over the last year to kind of like it feels almost like I'm like finding little doors and like opening them and going, oh, there's that bit of your brain. Like, okay, let's warm that up and get it firing again. Like someone's just running around and just chucking coal in furnaces, and suddenly my brain's kind of coming back to where it should be.
Sounds like my D&D story.
Kicking them doors.
Yeah.
I know that for us that do you guys personally MC like feelings, experiences and stuff like that?
I don't actually. Me and you had a conversation the other day about perhaps having a little session and trying some hip hop stuff. And obviously, in keeping with pieces of me and like the stuff that you're doing, buy it through Dribbz, by the way. I'll plug it for you now. Like I started writing down and wanting to, because I didn't want to like, again, I didn't want to like walk through the door and you'd be like, okay, this is the beat, go, and I'm like, I'm not just an MC, I'm a performer. Transformers and video games, guys. Like I didn't want to.
Yeah, you did that on the first live.
Yeah. So I didn't want to like stroll in on like what is quite a serious project. Like I'm sure we will like run up a bunch of 16s that are fun and silly too, but like I didn't want to walk in on that and be like, here's my video game stuff, have fun. So like I did sit down and start trying to write emotively, and I found it weirdly...
It's different, isn't it?
It's very, very different. It's different. And like, I've never been one to shy away from conversations, or like, when I was at uni, I actually sorted out with the university that I could have a room. And the room was, you knock on the door, if I open the door, you can come and sit in, and you can say whatever the hell you like. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you have a soundboard. And in that time, I had people talk to me about gender issues, I had people talk to me about sexuality, I had people talk to me about, like, being abused as a child, like, and that door was always open. So I've never shied away from those sorts of conversations, and, like, there are a bunch of things with myself that if they come up in conversation, I don't shy away from. But to sit down and somehow articulate that into music did feel very, very weird to me, which I figured it would have come easier, bearing in mind that I have never really minded having conversations that some people would.
It's a different thing though, putting them down. I find it's try to put those sort of things down on paper in a way, like you say, with you, do you know what I mean? To make it lyrics as well, without it just being written word. Like,
it's like the full circle, isn't it, to what you said earlier? Like we've literally like negative into a positive, doing something like, you know, to turn it into something good, something harsh or bad that's happened. Or
see, the hip hop that kind of gave me, I'm able to put the most, you know, my deepest of feelings down, which is brilliant for me. You know, it works for me. It's almost like a medication for me.
So I mean, it depends how much as a person you want to let off. Though.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm someone that wears my art on my sleeve, and I'll tell my. I think everyone's got a story to a certain extent, and I'm happy to tell my story. And if it helps people along the way, then that's brilliant, you know. And like from putting my story out there now, I've got an article in a magazine that's distributed across Shrewsbury, Wolverhampton and Telford, and it's a men's mental health article now. And I started off by putting my story out on there, which it got a load of like incredible feedback and that. And they've asked me to do a regular slot, like a regular section in this magazine now, which is cool. But now I've kind of put my story out there, and it's less about me now. I'm just kind of the middleman. So in these articles now, I'm looking for other men that want to put their story out.
That's nice.
And I'm just kind of putting like a short introduction of me, who I am, and then over to this guy, and just giving them that platform to speak.
You'll help so many people.
Yeah, this is
So
it.
nice.
This is it. I released a track called Never Fall Apart, and it was about the things I'd had growing up in my life, that my father had put me and my mum through, because my mum's a single parent with me and my brother.
Add to the single mums.
Yeah, man, every time, and like, I've got so much respect for her now for the things that she went without just so we could have. Do you know what I mean?
That you see as an adult, don't you?
Absolutely,
You look back
yeah.
see
And
it
it's
as an
like
adult, don't you?
that old school attitude of the women should be in the kitchen and all that. I never seen that growing up. My mum and dad, so she would show me how to do different things. You know, she'd do a puncher on my bike and things like that. So I've got so much respect for women now because of that very reason. And I think that's helped me talk in my music now, because in the drum and bass, no one wants to hear personal, deep, emotional bars. They ain't interested in that. They want hype bars, you know, they want the quirky one-liners before the track drops and stuff. And that's where I find the hip-hop works for me. And I found that I've had people get in touch with me since Never Fall Apart went out there as a music video, and they've said, you know, I can relate to this growing up. I thought I was the only one growing up, but I can relate to this, you know, it's good that you've covered this. And I just wanted one person to come back to me and say they related to it. If one person did, job done in my opinion. You know, it wasn't for clout. I didn't do it for people to feel sorry for me and that. I just wanted one person to relate, and they have.
That's it. That's what it takes, is one person to be able to relate. Because I suppose if people are in a dark place, you feel lonely, don't you? Feel alone, like you're the only one going through it. So then to hear something that you not only enjoy listening to, you're like, wow, I'm not alone.
That's it. I want to be just more than just an MC, more than just a drum and bass MC. So that's why I do the hip hop, and I've got a bass line where I can do the two.
That's lovely,
which is cool.
Platform, haven't you, to do?
Yeah, it works for me, you know, it's two different avenues. I started the hip-hop in lockdown, didn't think it would go as good as it has. I'm on my second album now, which has sold really well. But there's a lot of artists out there that put this music out there and expect everything to come to them, and I think you've got to go out and get it. So like Donington in Telford, which is my kind of area that I'm from, you know, my wife dropped me, because I don't drive because of my health condition, my wife dropped me off down there with a backpack full of CDs, my albums, and I just kind of went round door knocking people that I knew and getting the album sold, you know, and I managed to sell like 20, 30 copies down there. Had like some A4 album covers that were laminated, and I put a few of them up around the lampposts and that, as you used to, and you've got to go out there and get these things. You've got to go out there and get these things.
Do you think, as well as like helping things with regards to like, you know, mental health and stuff, because of what's within your lyrics and your experiences that you're talking about, do you think there's anything that you'd be able to kind of, say for example, put forward, because especially now it sounds like you're getting an ever more growing like platform as well, like to try and do something, like say for example in Telford, in Shrewsbury, something aimed at kind of youth and kind of educating them properly, mental health, knife crime awareness, and just trying to kind of like, I find kind of like with kids, as soon as you show them a bit of kind of like encouragement in what they're doing, or that offer that support, but in a way where you're not telling them what to do, you're just getting on a vibe with them, so to speak.
Getting on their level, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I've always been saying with kids, because I don't treat them like kids, I just treat them like little people. They just, that's it. I've just got life experience on them, that's it. And it's finding that kind of key. But I mean, do you think there's anything missing in your local areas that might help like the youth kind of make better decisions?
I'm conscious to like, without this sounding, I don't know how it would sound sleazy, but I want to be the person that I needed when I was younger. My mum was fantastic, don't get me wrong, she was amazing, but you know, I want to be that person,
male role model,
that I genuinely needed when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite mindful of that. And then me and my wife are foster carers. We've been fostering for like 8 years now, for the local authority, and my social worker that we've got with them, you know, I play my music to her and stuff, and she has mentioned that there could be like, she's loosely said that we might get some writing kind of workshops going for kids that are in need and stuff, and they need that kind of helping hand, and if they're full of anger, I can teach them to put it down to paper.
To release for a minute.
Absolutely, and the finishing result would be like the writing workshop, and the finishing result would be they get to record their track.
You get your track at the end.
Yeah.
And potentially you've changed that child's life.
That's it. Yeah, and whatever comes along the way in support is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Kieran does that around like. Well, she started off. She does hip hop heels.
Okay.
Yeah, and like that, she's been doing it for years, but she's got to a kind of point out to you. She's got to a point where she's going out to universities and stuff now. And she's doing really well with that. But that sounds very similar, but she goes nationwide from what I've seen. But yeah, that would be great to actually have that all in place. So I mean, we've talked obviously like with regards to so-called studios, and obviously trying to put facilities in place that's going to be, you know, for the wider community, offering different platforms, people with disabilities, people with, whether it's kind of like, you know, visible disabilities, or whether it's more like a neurological or a visual sort of kind of impairment. So it's kind of like, it's nice that we're all on a real similar page for what we all want to kind of like head towards. I mean, I know we'll all obviously bang our heads together and sort something out as well, and do some fundraisers and workshops. But I mean, with regards to you guys coming down today, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. We know you've had a travel, so thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, but I've never met you before.
I know, yeah. Our paths are crossed now, so that's wicked, mate. Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
It's what it's about, bringing everyone together.
Exactly, yeah.
It's happening, it's working.
Yeah, I hope a lot more artists can get on board like us, you know, and
yeah, absolutely.
Because there is a lot of people with a lot of thoughts. You know,
well, on that note as well, the schedule has picked up over the next month, so it's not going to be just monthly for the next couple of months. So yeah, it's going to be a busy month anyway. So we're looking forward to our next guest. It's 2 weeks' time, isn't it? Kane Leatham, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah.
17th, I think.
Yeah, there we go. 17th. So and it'll be the same across the board, just general discussion and whatnot. But yeah, thanks guys for coming down. It's been absolute pleasure seeing you again. It's nice having a little flashbacks down memory lane.
It's good to talk.
It's good to talk.
It's good to talk, boys.
Ladders. So once again, thank you from the Baseball family, and we look forward to catching up on the next one.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Bruce.
Yeah.
He'll do a fade. Oh no, we've got a live in.
Yeah. Still on.
Yeah, boys, get your glasses on.
Where is the toilet?
Get on a freestyle. Yeah,
Joking. Where's the toilet at?